What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Doe Show. It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. Today, we're going to be talking about a federal ICE agent who fatally shot a Minneapolis woman in the face. I have audio and video of the situation, and then I'm going to play my commentary too. But it was a group of Minneapolis people who were out there, protesting. When you had some ICE agents who were out there stuck in the snow that were trying to move their vehicle out of the way, which they end up meeting this woman in the road. Her car was parked in the middle of the road. They tried to get this woman to move her car, and the incident started from there. But I have audio and video of the situation. I have everything queued up. Give me 1 second, and I'm getting ready to show the video. So here we go with the video. And you guys will see what I'm talking about.
Dramatic video reportedly shows the moment an ICE agent.
All right.
No!
And this video is for fair use. It's going to be used for commentary and educational purposes only.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Dramatic video purportedly shows the moment an ICE agent fatally opened fire on a woman in Minneapolis, who DHS says attempted to barrel her SUV into the path of an officer. Multiple angles of the incident have emerged and gone viral across the internet. Users are left divided on whether or not the agent's actions were reckless or in self-defense. Footage, ICE officers order the driver out of the vehicle after she blocked the path of their truck. But as one of the agents attempts to open the door, she quickly throws the car into reverse before trying to speed forward in the direction of another agent in her path. After the vehicle narrowly misses the agent, he fires 3 shots before the car crashes into a white sedan parked nearby on the side of the street. Users have gathered at the scene, which the city of Minneapolis has identified as the intersection of East 34th Street and Portland Avenue.
This is f***ing ridiculous. You don't protect people.
In the wake of the viral incident, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem described the officers' actions as defensive and called the incident an act of domestic terrorism during a press conference.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
Democratic Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, however, furiously denounced this narrative in a passionate press conference of his own.
They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bull. And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
DHS Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement, "This is an evolving situation, and we will give the public more information as soon as it becomes available."
Okay, I'm gonna close that out and go ahead and come back out. Give me 1 second. So yeah, you guys saw the video. I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Give me your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about that situation. And just like they were talking about, they're trying to cover up that situation. It was a group of people out there protesting, when this young woman was in the middle of the road while the ICE agents were actually out there trying. I believe they were stuck in the snow, which is what was said, and you can clearly see that they're always, and my question is, why are they always trying to put themselves in harm's way? They saw this woman was in the middle of the road. They asked her to move the car, and you can see, and this always happened. This isn't the first time. You know, they always surround your car. You know, it's like they always try to put themselves in harm's way. So if you try to pull off, reverse, or back up, then that tries to give them the right to be able to shoot you. You know what I mean? So they kind of put themselves in harm's way for you know, for themselves to, you know, to be able to shoot and kill anyone who actually tries to get away, I should say. You know, but this woman did not try to purposely run over this guy. You can actually see where she turned to try to get away from him. He literally, you know, as the car drove by, and when you can watch the video, you can see him sticking the gun in the window, shooting her, you know, pretty much in the side of the face. You know, so I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Tell me what you think about this situation. You know, the comment section is open. What do you think? Do you think that these ICE agents are out of control, and this guy needs to be held responsible? I have someone in the chat. Give me 1 second, because this chat is kind of going fast, so I have to get back to my first chat. But yeah, Steph Crichton 9926 said, do you hear the people singing a song of angry men? Hold on, give me 1 second. You know what, I'll actually put that up, but give me 1 second. The song of angry men is the music of a people who will not bow to Trump again. And I agree. You know, there was a group of people out there protesting. I don't know what the protest was for. You know, I don't know if it was actually for if ICE were out there for the protesters. So, you know, you guys can comment and let me know what were those guys out there actually protesting about, you know. But it clearly was a you know, cold-blooded murder. You know, these guys put themselves in harm's way. This woman was actually trying to get out of the way or trying to move, you like they asked, you know. But like I said, I want you guys to comment. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You know, it's important to the channel. But yeah, you know, I want you guys to comment down below. Give me your thoughts. You know, I'm trying to read them. Like, they're coming in kind of fast. Okay, so here we go. Skeeter Man 218 says she tried to run the cop over, and now she's no longer with us because she wanted to take a stand for the people that shouldn't be in our country. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, Skeeter Man. I believe she was actually trying to get out of the way, you know, and a video will show that. You know, why would this woman try to run over an ICE agent or an officer when we know what happens, you know, whether you're black or white, you know. So, you know, and we can't argue about this being a racial issue, you know, because this was a white officer who shot a white woman, you know, and it's definitely going to be a lot of drawback on that. So I'm going to right now read all the comments, and then we'll get back to commentary in a second. Gander and Fight says she is dead by suicide of her own hands. She did not have to intervene in this investigation. See, and that's the question. I don't know if she was intervening. They said that the ICE agents were stuck and they were just trying to get their vehicle out of the snow. And she was in the middle of the road, you know, at that time. So we don't know if she were trying to intervene what they had going on, you know. So that's my question. I need for you guys to comment and let me know about that. James Hayes 524 said there was a third agent on the passenger side by front tire. Yeah, you know, they surrounded her car. You know, she was trying to actually get out of there, in my opinion. You know, so yeah, I want you guys to continue to comment, you know, give me your thoughts and opinion on that. Winston Barrow 5385 said out of control. So was the cops out of control or was she out of control? Because in my opinion, you know, they were out of control. They didn't even give this woman, you know, before they even gave her a chance to actually get out of there. He tried to open her door up and pull her out. You know, that's unlawful. You know, that was the first. That was an unlawful thing. What he did is tried to open her door and maybe try to pull her out. You know, he shouldn't been able to do that at that time. You know, that's unlawful for a cop to try to pull your door open without, you know, because we don't know if she was trying to intervene. So I'll say that. So let me go on to the next comment. I don't have my glasses on, so it's a little hard for me trying to see a lot of this stuff. So give me a second, you guys. All right, A. Gander said, okay, no, I just read that already. Okay, James Shea said, and had been a gating all day. Yeah, I believe they were just out there protesting. I don't know exactly what they were protesting about. Um, but they were peacefully out there protesting until ICE actually got out there. Mark Paint Doctor also said, yeah, but the officer went up to her. She wouldn't have, hold on, let me move that out. She wouldn't have, move this up, it's hard to see that. Okay, he said she wouldn't have get out the car if she kept driving. I didn't understand that one. But he went up to her and they asked her to move the car, while she was, to me, she was surrounded while they asked her to try to move the car. You know what I mean? So when she tried to go forward, they literally surrounded the car. And then as she pulled off, he jumped out the way. So she had time. He had time to move out the way, which he did. He moved out the way and pretty much he shot and killed this woman. So it was a cold-blooded murder, no way about it. This officer needs to be held responsible. They need to release everything about this officer. You know what I mean? Because when the shoe is on the other foot, they release all the information. His jacket and everything needs to be released to the public. You know what I mean? Because I'm quite sure, this isn't the first time that, he's been off the hinge, and a lot of these officers are, you know what I mean? So yeah, I need for you guys, if you're new to the channel, please make sure that you hit that subscription on your way in or on your way out. It helps the channel grow. But yeah, I'm supposed to been having a panel of people coming up to join me to talk about this. So I'm waiting on, a few people to come in and add their thoughts and opinions on this conversation. So I'll just finish reading the comments. A Winston Barrow 55385 said, this was a cold-blooded murder. Agree. Stuart Graham also said, your show should be titled What a Criminal Would Say. Well, it should be titled What a Criminal Would Do. Because that's exactly what he did. He should definitely be charged. He should lose all implied immunity. James Hayes also commented, he said she back to the third officer had been aggravating all day and was a paid protester. Okay. So she was a paid protester. So I'm quite sure she wasn't out there purposely, trying to run ICE agents or federal agents over. You know what I mean? Anyone in their right mind know that's an automatic death sentence. So I can't believe a lot of the comments that I'm reading. This was a woman who was probably just out there peacefully protesting, about this whole ICE thing and this whole Trump situation, and we can see what's going on with this whole Trump situation with this takeover, what he just did a few days ago, so, and that's another conversation that we're going to be having in the near future. It's a lot of shady, fishy shit going on, and we, the people, need to put a stop and an end to this. And, because this isn't going to be this wasn't the first time, and this isn't going to be the last time, that situations like this is going to happen. I don't know what that mean. BP Slick or 4565. Winston Barrow said these agents are too gun-ho. I agree. They're walking around thinking they're the judge, jury, and the executioner, because that's what happened. And we the people, we need to put a stop to this shit. You know what I mean? Because it's going to hit one day. It's going to hit home, and that's when people care, when it hits home. Fun Day Kid said, "I'll bet $100 ICE idiot that shot her was also a pardon J6 rioter, or at least he went to DC and acted a fool. There were two more shootings today." Wow. So I didn't even hear about that. So there were 2 more shootings today. I have to look that up. Thanks for letting me know about that. But yeah, I need for you guys to make sure that you guys are hitting that subscribe button, where this is something that we're definitely need to continue bringing to the forefront. Your subscriptions, your likes, and your shares definitely helps the channel grow. But Full Metal Chad said, the case law for pulling off with an officer in front of your car, we are not naive, or neither are you. But the whole thing is, why would you put yourself in harm's way? we know the tactics of officers. They always try to do this so that that'll give them the right, but clearly this officer, when she pulled off, he clearly jumped to the side. He literally leaned in and shot this woman pretty much in the fucking side of her head. You know what I mean? So all this, I fear for my life. We have to pull that out of their verbiage. You know what I mean? He did not fear for his life. You know what I mean? That was a cold-blooded murder. Stephen M33 said it seems she was using her car to block the agents from doing their job. Now, what jobs were the agents actually doing? Because to me, they had room enough to go around her. I don't think she was literally blocking the whole road. I don't think her car was in the middle of the streets where they couldn't go around. So that's where the news where they have not been all the way transparent, about the whole situation. So I know in days from now we'll get a lot more information about what actually happened. What was her position for actually being out there in the middle of the road. Now I'm going to be honest. I'll keep it real. Any person that does something, stupid, we know situations like that'll happen. But, in my honest opinion, when you have people out there protesting, normally those protesters are out there protesting in a friendly environment, and out there trying to, escalate situations. To me, it looked like that ICE agent, he escalated the whole situation, and then, like I said, you had the one ICE agent, he actually went up to her door and tried to open that up. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that was illegal for him to do that. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I need for you guys to make sure that you like, commenting, and you'll make sure that you share this so this can get out. Definitely needs to get out. Which is already out, but this woman family, and I want to give my condolences to the family of this young woman first and foremost. You know what I mean? It's a sad situation. She still should be here. I don't believe agents should be judged during execution. That's what we've been seeing, thus far with these ICE agents and just, agents, period. Hey, neither do you. We're all learning this situation. You know what I mean? So we'll just take you out of there. Yeah, but no, it's a sad situation. So, and I want to ask you, you guys this question, and we're definitely going to talk about that maybe later on tonight, if not tomorrow. This whole, takeover with Trump, with capturing and taking over the president of, it'll come to me in a second. I forget actually what country this was, but me too, buddy. So we both are, but yeah, man. At the end of the day, this whole Trump. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I'm for certain things that Trump has put, into effect. I'm a realist. But this whole ICE thing and this whole thing with him trying to capture Greenland and now getting ready to try and start war with Colombia. It started off with, I believe they captured the president of, if I'm not mistaken, Venezuela, if I'm not mistaken. So I have to go back and double check. But yeah, that just lets you know that, our government, and I'm quite sure that we broke all type of treaties with that, so it's going to be a lot more that's going to come from that, talks this soon, because like I said, I'm quite sure, other countries looked at that, and I'm quite sure we violated some type of treaty with that, and to me, that was more, of like a 9/11 thing, for the people, for him to try to get sympathy from the people to go in there and do what he did, to that people and their president. Now they're trying to, pretty much just strong arm these motherfuckers up out of their oil. And it sounds like a whole, the whole George Bush with the Saddam Hussein sound like the same old motherfucking play. They just with a different president, I should say. You guys got to excuse me. I'm off. Let me put a little I'm drinking my mouth a little dry, but yeah, it sounds like this. They ran the same play that George Bush ran, same play Trump is running. And us as citizens, we have to be smart enough to realize that, we dealing with some crooked motherfuckers. Do we? I mean, what do we do? As citizens, we're living in a country where we know that our country is doing things that that they should not be doing. But that's going to be a great discussion. Funk the Kid said he's preparing the stage to declare martial law during the midterm. And it's all Operation Distraction from the Epstein files. And I agree. And I was going to say that I didn't want to bring that off into this conversation, but yeah, it's a diversion, from what's getting ready to go on, because Trump think he's probably going to be impeached if they don't win the House, so there's a lot of stuff that's that's going on, that's already going on, that we are not aware of, that we won't know until it actually happened, so we just get the, the shit in of, what's really going on. So we just have to do our due diligence and just, look at past things that, that went on in the past, so like that whole play, like I said, it's nothing more than the same George Bush play, that they ran with the 9/11 and, just trying to, take over oil and land and money. And that's it. They won't listen, when they took over that country and the oil, they already had buyers from different countries trying to buy that and sell that oil, and I guarantee you most of that money that they get from that oil will not go back to that country and the citizens of that country. It's probably going to go to, feed the pockets of the Republicans. And I'll just be real, and some Democrats too, for allowing this bullshit to go on. But I need for you guys to make sure that you making sure that you guys are liking, commenting, and you're subscribing to the channel. It helps the channel grow. It helps me stay and get into the YouTube algorithm. Fun the Kid said facts. Republicans can't win straight up. They have to divide, cheat, stop voting, et cetera, by any means necessary. And I agree 100%. And that's on both sides, realistically. They try to divide us, the citizens, on either side, when, really, it's both sides that's, making these plays. So it's us, the citizens, us, the people. We have to realize what's going on with our government, and straighten these things out, but yeah, this is a conversation that we're going to have, maybe tomorrow, and that's going to be a great discussion and a great panel. I was supposed to have a few people coming up and have this discussion with me today, but yeah, man, at the end of the day, I hope this woman family get justice. It was a cold-blooded murder. This woman still should be here. Regardless if that officer felt like his life was in danger, he still was able to get out of the way and did not have to release and shooting. I mean, did not have to release firing on this young woman trying to get through. We all saw that he made it out of the way. She did not hit him. So my question is, we have to stop allowing, these officers to be judge, jury, and executor out there, because it could have been your mom, your sister, in that car just out there protesting. So what if she was blocking the fucking road? You know what I mean? The most that should have happened was she should have gotten a ticket, or maybe, if anything is worse, is went to jail, not be shot in the motherfucking head. Because if any of you guys that made comments about that, just think about it. What if that was your mom, out there protesting? We do have the right to protest. I hope you guys know that, without fearing being shot in the motherfucking head. And that's all that lady was doing, is protesting. She did not try to run them over because it was a group of them all in one group. So if she was really trying to do harm to those officers, she could have got more than one, so a lot of people don't think about that. I'll read some more of the comments, because I see a lot of people are still not thinking, I guess believing that this woman deserved to die. Okay. Okay, Fun the Kid said, nope. don't do that both sides things, please. When the working class, hold on, another comment just came in. Sorry about that. No, I mean you got to be real, man. They give us a left wing and a right wing when really it's just the same plane. Hold on, I'm trying to get back to your comment. They have to divide, cheat, stop. Hold on, I think. Okay, here it is. They say don't do the both side things, please. With the new working class coming together, the Republicans got to stop it. Can't have. Sorry about that. This thing is, as I'm reading your comments, they're coming up fast. But no, man, you have to really, and what I mean by, both sides is, they give us a left wing and a right wing, when really it's one plane. It's a diversion to us, to people thinking that, each side is fighting for, whatever side that you pick when literally, it's just one, and they're deciding, what they want to do. And what rules that they want to pass and usher through, and that's all that is, and people have to understand that, and that's how politics work. At Grimbar said 72 people died in ICE custody from 2009 to 2017. Yes, and I'm quite sure if we go and look into some of those deaths, I guarantee you, over 50% of those deaths, probably were homicides. Yep. So, but yeah, man, I definitely need for you guys to make sure that you're hitting that subscribe button as you come in and as you leave. It's definitely been a great conversation. My whole thing is, those people were out there protesting peacefully. At the end of the day, that cop, and as we see from the video, he did not fear from his life because he was able to get from in front of the car before she actually took off, and she veered to the right and he moved to his left. So he got out of the situation, but yeah, man, I just want to come on and give my thoughts, give my opinion on this topic. I thought it was a tragic situation when I saw that. My whole thing is, and I'm going to go back. I did a little bit of research. I'm going to go back and do more research, on, because a lot of people are saying that the woman was trying to stop the ICE agents from doing their job or from getting by. But from what the news said, they were stuck. They were trying to get out of the middle of the road. So we don't know if that woman was already there before those officers, intervened on what she was doing. You know what I mean? So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, that she was just out there peacefully protesting, and then she was trying to do what they asked her to do, because eventually she did move and try to get out of the way. It was them who boxed her in. So don't put yourself in harm's way, because shit like that can happen, because what if she would have hit him? You know what I mean? After they asked her to get out of the road. For her to get out of the middle of the road. So look, man, it's definitely been a great conversation. I want to thank everybody who commented down below. I love the interactions. I'm going to go back, later and make sure that I interact with all you guys' comment. I just wanted to bring this. I just wanted to give my piece on the situation because I looked at the video from multiple angles that they put up, and that officer had plenty of chance. He had plenty of opportunity to get from in front of that truck, which he did, and you can see as the woman drove by, he literally stuck his gun and shot in there, and shot this woman in the side of the face, maybe in the front of her face too, but more than likely it was in the side of the head, because she was driving by. He instantly killed that woman. So, but like I said, man, it's going to be a lot of, coming down on that officer who committed that. You know what I mean? It wasn't just, and I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't just a black man or a woman who was shot and killed out there. It was a white woman who was out there protesting. And, when things like that happen, more people come down, on cops like that, and that shit needs to happen. It was a cold-blooded murder. We see a lot of this shit going on in the black community, and we don't see a lot of people, taking up for that, so, us as black folks, when we see wrong, we don't look at it like it's a black or white thing, you know, and that was wrong. That was a wrong situation. You know, we see situations like this all the time with the cops, you know, in our community shooting people from running away, you know, motherfuckers getting shot in the back, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, all these cops need to be held responsible for this. So look, like I said, it's been another one. It's your boy Dame D, and I am out. Peace.